So there you are. An amazing ROI-producing digital marketing plan has been developed, and everything is about to make you look like a rock star.
You can see it. You can feel it. This one's going to work.
And then nothing. Not because it's wrong, not because it's not ready.
It's just waiting. On people. On process. On one more sign-off.
Meanwhile, the market's not waiting. Your competitors aren't waiting.
And every single day it sits, it costs.
Today, we're tallying that cost.
And it's probably bigger than you think.
Welcome to Travera's AI Deep Dive podcast, hosted by Chip and Nova, our AI co-hosts. Together, they transform top marketing insights from our blogs, articles, and events into actionable strategies you can use. Ready to dive in? Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to the Travera Deep Dive podcast for digital marketers. I'm your co-host, Chip.
And I'm your other co-host, Nova. Great to be here, as always.
Together, we are the AI voices of Team Travera. And today we're unpacking some of the insight accumulated by our 30 years in business.
Well, technically not Chip's and mine, but our human team. The insight we're digging into is a blog written by our founder, Tom Snyder, that shines a spotlight on something he's seen over and over since founding Travera in 1996.
So for 3 decades, our team has been helping businesses reinforce their brands using web and digital tech.
And think about that timeline for a sec. I mean, in 1996, the internet was basically just a digital brochure.
Yeah, exactly. You could afford to take like 3 months to approve a website update back then because the market was moving at dial-up speed.
Exactly. Dial-up speed.
But today, we are operating in a real-time digital ecosystem. And that depth of experience is exactly why Tom's insight is so critical right now. The tools have evolved at lightning speed, but corporate psychology really hasn't.
So true.
His new blog is titled The Hidden Cost of Marketing Indecision, and it tackles a scenario that I guarantee you, our listener, you have lived through at some point in your career.
Oh, I'm sure they have. Let's lay out the mechanics of this scenario. Picture the setup. Your marketing strategy is totally locked. The campaigns are built out on the platform. The messaging is dialed in. The media plan is completely funded. Everything is sitting on the runway, fueled up, and just ready for takeoff. And then the engine's just cut off. It just sits there. It's waiting on approval. It needs one more review from a stakeholder who, was out of the office.
Right, always out of the office.
Always. Or a committee wants to have one more conversation next Tuesday just to make absolutely sure everyone is aligned before anyone actually says the word go.
And the wild part about this delay, Nova, is that it doesn't feel like a mistake while it's happening. If you are the executive asking for that extra review, you feel like you are being deeply responsible.
Right, you're protecting the brand.
Exactly. You are exercising financial diligence.
But that sense of responsibility is what makes this dynamic so insidious. Marketing rarely collapses all at once in some massive dramatic failure. It underperforms quietly.
Quietly.
Yeah, and Tom's blog points out that one of the absolute biggest reasons for this quiet underperformance is simply timing. Because, the market does not care about your internal approval pipeline.
It really doesn't. Let's look at this seasonal campaign scenario from our team's experience. You have a brilliant holiday initiative, or maybe like a summer push. It is totally finished. But it sits in an inbox, waiting for an executive thumbs up for 3 or 4 weeks.
And during those weeks, the search volume from your potential customers, the actual people looking for what you sell, it peaks and it starts to taper off.
Wow.
Yeah, your competitors, who didn't wait for perfect alignment, are out there actively buying up the prime ad inventory. By the time you finally get the green light, the cost to reach those same customers has skyrocketed.
And the peak demand window is basically closing.
Exactly.
Here's an analogy for this. Think about the mechanics of baking a highly complex, time-sensitive souffle.
Oh, I love this one.
The chef did their job perfectly. The oven worked perfectly. The souffle comes out looking incredible, totally ready to be served. But instead of bringing it to the table, the restaurant manager leaves it sitting on the kitchen counter for an hour because they're busy debating which napkin rings to use in the dining room.
Ugh, that just makes my head hurt.
And by the time it finally reaches the customer, the souffle has collapsed. The recipe wasn't bad. The ingredients are great. The timing destroyed it.
And what is really tragic is how teams handle the aftermath of that collapse campaign.
Right.
In the postmortem reviews, they look at the disappointing numbers and they look for the easiest scapegoat.
Oh, for sure. They blame the creative.
Yeah, they blame the messaging, or maybe they decide the media allocation was wrong. They completely miss the fact that the only actual problem had come and gone before the campaign even went live.
Indecision equals missed potential. And that misdiagnosis leads directly into another massive hidden cost. Because while you were sitting around waiting for approvals, you were bleeding money by paying for motion that just isn't progress.
A perfect illustration from Tom's insight is the case of a rebuild of a B2B lead generation website. So many times we've seen this scenario play out. The discovery has been done, a plan has been developed, the proposal has been presented, and then sits waiting for approval for weeks, months, quarters, even years. Then it's finally approved, and a new, beautiful, and highly functional website has been created to execute the plan to capture client information and generate new qualified leads. The site is done, but the launch gets delayed by endless stakeholder edits. Change this button color, tweak this headline, rewrite the about page for the 4th time.
Okay, I actually want to push back on this for a second, Nova, because I know what a CFO or a department head listening to this might be thinking right now.
Okay, what are they thinking?
Well, during that delay, the internal web team is still working, executing the previous plan. And then once the new site build moves to completion, the internal web team and the agency are still actively working. I mean, they are polishing the code, they are optimizing the mobile view, they are refining the copy. They aren't just sitting on their hands. That is quality control. So why is that considered wasted time?
That's a fair point, Chip, but you have to look at the law of diminishing returns. Yes, the teams are still working, and budgets continue to be allocated to pay for those minor revisions, but the actual impact of that work is entirely frozen.
Ah, I see.
You might be making the site 2% better, but you are missing out on 100% of the value. And the real financial drain becomes obvious when you look at the broader marketing ecosystem.
Right, because while the new site is delayed, your paid campaigns and your SEO, your search engine optimization efforts, are still actively running.
Exactly. The marketing machine doesn't pause just because the website launch is paused. Those ads and search links are actively driving valuable paid traffic to the old experience, the very experience that the company already knows is underperforming.
Right. They know it needs replacing.
But the new solution is just sitting hidden away on a staging server waiting for more edits. Meanwhile, you're literally paying ad platforms to send potential customers to a broken or outdated site.
Wow. And furthermore, platforms like Google Ads use something called a quality score. If you are sending paid traffic to an old, slow website with a high bounce rate, Google actually penalizes you and charges you more per click.
Which is just awful.
Yeah, so the delay isn't just pausing your progress. It is actively increasing your daily advertising costs.
And no one would ever purposefully plan a strategy where they pay a premium to send leads to a bad website. But by delaying the launch, that is the strategic choice being made by default.
Which really shifts our focus to the customer's timeline. Because while your internal team is stalled in review loops, your competitors aren't. Let's look at the exact moment a customer reaches out.
Momentum itself is a massive competitive advantage. Think about an email follow-up sequence. This is a nurture sequence designed to quickly engage a prospect right after they download a guide on your site.
The entire goal is to strike while the iron is hot.
Exactly. They expressed a need 5 minutes ago, so you want your brand in their inbox right now.
But in our team's experience, we often see these sequences get stuck in draft status. They require, 3 different sign-offs from legal, sales, and marketing.
And by the time those messages finally clear the hurdles and go out, the prospect's urgency is entirely gone. The half-life of a lead's interest is measured in minutes, not weeks.
Yeah, we have to be realistic about consumer behavior today. They had a problem they needed solved. If you took 2 weeks to send a follow-up email, they actively went to a competitor who responded the same day.
There is a modern layer to this dynamic that fundamentally changes the math, and it is highly relevant to us as AI co-hosts. Tom brings up the AI factor.
Right, the AI factor.
AI has utterly transformed the speed of production. Content, ad copy, strategic frameworks, these can all be developed at a pace that was unimaginable even 3 years ago.
Oh, easily.
You can generate 50 ad variations in an hour.
Meaning execution is simply no longer the bottleneck in marketing.
The bottleneck is decision-making. The gap between how fast your team can produce the work and how fast your organization can actually decide to use the work is widening every single day.
So you have teams equipped with Ferrari-level production tools, but they are forced to drive them through a school zone of approvals.
That is exactly it.
And that friction creates a very predictable cycle. In his blog, Tom outlines this invisible 5-step pattern that most organizations don't even realize they are trapped in.
Let's walk the listener through how this manifests.
Yeah, let's do it. Step 1 is the peak of enthusiasm. The initiative is fully ready to launch. Everyone's excited.
Then we hit step 2, the waiting room. Final approvals take way longer than expected.
Why is that?
Well, it's usually driven by the diffusion of responsibility. No one wants to be the single person who says yes in case the campaign fails, so it gets passed around a committee.
Which triggers step 3, the timing slips. Just enough to meaningfully reduce the impact of the initiative.
Leading to step 4. The results finally come in, and they are mediocre. They aren't terrible, but they are slightly below expectations.
And that brings us to step 5, which is the most dangerous step of all. The team conducts a postmortem, but the delay is never identified as the culprit.
Never, because measuring the abstract cost of timing is difficult, but looking at a dashboard of creative metrics is easy.
Exactly, so the root cause is entirely ignored.
Now, we've covered the cost of the campaign, the wasted ad budget, and the lost leads. But Tom's blog pivots to something that does permanent damage if left unchecked: the cost to your culture.
And after this quick break, we'll dive deep into that cost.
Don't go away. Wow, Chip, we're already into Q2. How did that happen?
Right, Nova. And if Q1 taught us anything, it's that things aren't slowing down. AI, search shifts, content demands, analytics, it's a lot to keep up with.
That's exactly why companies trust Trevera. We don't just react to change, we help our clients stay ahead of it. Strong fundamentals, smart strategy, and the right tech, all working together to drive measurable growth, not just activity.
In a world full of noise, it's not about chasing traffic anymore. What matters is results you can see, track, and build on quarter after quarter. It's about building a digital presence that actually performs.
So if Q1 didn't deliver what you expected,
Q2 is your chance to reset and get it right. Visit Trevera.com and start building a strategy that drives real results.
Trevera, 30 years of digital marketing that moves the needle.
Welcome back to Trevera's AI Deep Dive. Now back to our conversation with Chip and Nova.
Welcome back to the Trevera Deep Dive.
We've been talking about the cost of delay. And here's perhaps the biggest cost of them all.
It's the cost of the friction that delay causes to the people actually doing the work.
Yeah.
Because the team absolutely feels this drag, even if the dashboard doesn't show it.
Teams are incredibly adaptive. They adapt to the slow system they're working in. When a company's approval process consistently stalls momentum, team behavior shifts.
They start to anticipate the friction.
Yes. So instead of pitching the bold idea, they pitch the safe, boring idea that they know will slide through approvals without a fight. They become overly cautious, the work becomes less ambitious.
And then management looks at the output and thinks, wow, performance is really dropping. But it isn't the team's talent fading. It is the crushing weight of the approval process suffocating their proactivity.
Which leads directly into what Tom calls the hidden talent cost no one talks about.
Yes, the ultimate casualty in this environment is the strong marketing leader. Let's walk through how this plays out, because our team has seen this scenario so many times.
The scenario looks like this. A highly capable marketing director is hired. They bring in an external agency to elevate the strategy.
Maybe an agency like Trevera.
Exactly. And in the beginning, the early alignment is great. The energy is fantastic. You can feel the momentum building.
But then the reality of the organizational bureaucracy sets in. Multiple approval layers stall everything. They discover that to launch a simple campaign, they need sign-offs from the VP of Sales, the legal department, and the CEO.
Suddenly, that dynamic leader is spending all their energy managing internal politics. They become the public face of delays they didn't create.
That has to be incredibly frustrating, trying to move the organization at the pace the market actually requires and just hitting a brick wall.
It is. So eventually, that strong marketing leader updates their resume and leaves for a company where they can actually execute.
And the organization shrugs this off as just normal turnover, They treat the symptom, but the underlying disease remains.
It's a massive waste.
It really is.
Yeah.
Part of Team Trevera's mission is this idea, we want to make the people who hire us look like rock stars.
I love that.
But as Tom points out, that only works if they are allowed to take the stage. If decisions keep them waiting in the wings, the spotlight never hits.
So true.
So, why do smart, well-meaning leaders keep trapping their teams in this cycle of indecision? And more importantly, how do you fix it?
You would assume it's a control issue, but Tom explains in his blog that this actually comes from good intent.
Really? Good intent?
Yes. Too many decision makers still look at marketing as an expense to be minimized, put off, or both. Not an investment that, if made quickly, can return results quickly. When viewed as an expense, the overanalysis provides cover and even justification for the delay. They genuinely believe they are protecting the company. They want alignment, reduced risk, and they want to ensure they have justification for the expense before they spend money.
Well, on paper, that logic makes sense. You should want alignment.
You absolutely should. But here is the turning point. There is an exact moment where responsible caution morphs into harmful hesitation.
And that brings us to one of the most powerful lines from our founder's blog. It completely reframes the conversation around waiting. Tom writes, indecision is still a decision.
It is not neutral.
Let's unpack that. When an executive says, let's hold off and review this again next week, they aren't freezing time. They think waiting preserves their options.
But it doesn't. Waiting actively narrows your options because the market continues to move without you. By choosing not to decide, you are actively deciding to let the market dictate your positioning.
Wow. So how do we fix this? Let's steer the conversation toward actionable advice. How can the listener apply Team Trevera's insights today? Let's split the advice for decision makers and for marketing teams.
Okay, let's start with the decision makers. The required shift in mindset here is viewing speed as a strategic advantage. Waiting for perfect alignment almost always costs more than moving forward with clarity and adjusting on the fly.
Yeah, leaders really need to remember that their team's effectiveness mirrors their own decision speed. If you are slow, they are slow. Every delay costs money in missed opportunities over time.
And what about the marketing teams? The leaders who are stuck waiting for those decisions? Tom's tactical advice here is essential. Stop complaining about frustration.
That's good advice. Executives do not respond to frustration.
No, they don't. Instead, you need to translate that urgency into business terms. Talk about opportunity cost and timing. Show them exactly how the delay is actively burning budget.
You also have to aggressively hunt down and reduce internal friction through clear ownership. Put a firm time limit on reviews. You have to intentionally protect your momentum because lost momentum is incredibly hard to rebuild.
Exactly. When decisions finally move at the pace of the market, everything works the way it was designed to.
That is the ultimate goal. Well, if you are ready to break the cycle of indecision, it's time to put this expertise to use for your own digital marketing and operations.
Ready to take the next step? Contact Trivera today to discuss how our team can help your business succeed. Let's get started.
A huge thank you to everyone for joining us today on this Trivera Deep Dive. Just a quick reminder that you can find our podcast on iHeart, Spotify, Apple, and all major platforms.
Yes, please be sure to download, subscribe, and share this episode with your colleagues.
Thanks again for listening, everyone. We will catch you on the next Deep Dive.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on Trevera's AI Deep Dive with Chip and Nova. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find more and stay up to date with new episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, or find them on our website and our social media channels. And don't forget to visit us at Trevera.com to learn how we can help take your marketing to the next level. Ready to talk? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.